Knees and toes.
Does shoulders have to do with anything?
Because of what you did to my bold prediction. Yes, I'm taking this too far, but I don't care. We're
The
going.
noise is great for those who are audio only.
What's up, everyone, and welcome into the Buffalo Sports Collective. It is Monday, April 20th, 2026. As always, I am PK alongside my co-host, Phil, episode 432. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Don't forget to follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out our website at buffalosportscollective.com, and look for time breakdowns in the description of the show. Now that it's playoff week, we got a shorter week ahead, a couple less things on the agenda. On Tuesday, we got Phil's article breaking down this game. I'm sure he's looking forward to writing it, about the Oshawa game that Buffalo lost 12-8. On Wednesday, we got an interview coming out with somebody that's been on the show before. Hasn't been on in a while, but I'm not going to give a name just in case anything transpires, but we will be previewing round one of the NLL playoffs. We got it broken down to break down the overall season, then game by game, and then we wrap up going over the overall playoffs and our thoughts ahead. But on today's episode, we got Buffalo versus Oshawa reaction, week 21 review, and as you can tell, we got all the Sabres gear. We're recording around 5:15 before the game even starts because normally we record around 7 and we don't want to miss the first playoff game in 14 years. But Phil, are you a little giddy? You a little giddy about what's about to happen tonight?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see the atmosphere. I hope they score first and early and get it going. It seems like it could be a very low-scoring series, so we'll see what happens. But overall, yeah, very excited to have some playoff hockey back in Buffalo. First time in so long. And, you know, if it was going to be a playoff hockey day, it might as well snow in Buffalo as well, which it's been doing on and off all day. So I feel like that's got to be a good sign. The snow in Buffalo on the start of playoffs in the first time, 14 years, and April 19th. Yeah, I feel like that's got to be a good sign for Buffalo.
Yeah, I was outside push mowing my big backyard because the riding lawnmower would have sank, and it was snowing. And I was like, I got to get through it because the next few days, right now, no rain, and I need the sun to dry out the backyard so I can start actually mowing things. So, yeah, I was push mowing in the snow, and everybody was laughing at me. But if you could tell, we got our new quests up on the TV because it worked last time. We got the Bandits one. Quest to 5. You can win 5 games. You win the championship. We got the Sabres. Oh, hang on. I'm not a good weatherman. There we go. Quest to 16 for the Sabres. That means you win the Stanley Cup. Yeah, it's that simple. I picked up my signs from Tops. I got one out front, 2 here, and they're glorious. Love them. We'll start here, and allow me to be on a soapbox for a minute, and I will try not to... I'm not going to be very angry. I've kind of settled down. It is what it is. First off, thank you, Oshawa. It was I'm going to start with the good. I think the arena is going to be fantastic when that team's good. You can walk around the entire concourse and see the field. If you've been to Oshawa before, you already know all these things that I'm about to say. It was super loud. There's not a ton of space in there for fans right now, and they're going to be expanding it with more seats. I don't know how, because it doesn't look like it. I really was sitting there the whole time trying to figure out where the heck are they going to put these thousands of 2,000 seats. I just don't get it. But when you have it even more, it's going to be glory. I think the fan base there is going to be growing. They were very loud. It was a very loud environment. I think the fans are very knowledgeable. They knew when to cheer. I think that area is going to thrive once that team is good and they make a playoff. That's going to be a very tough place to play in. Now the bad part. I went there as media member. I did all the work I was supposed to do. They were supposed to reserve 6 seats for us. There were 3 other people in the media there. They sold our seats. I don't know who's responsible for that. I'm not going to go into personal trashing or whatever thing. I was pretty much mobile the whole time. I had to go find a new seat. I'm not upset at the fans that bought the seats. It pretty much went down to this. Got up there, got my seat. I'm all ready. People are sitting next to me, media as well. One usher comes up and goes, hey, shoot, they did this to me again. I went, yeah. They went, yeah, they sold your seats. I was like, oh, that stinks. So she walked away, brought another usher, and he goes, what seat are you in front of? And I pointed to the ground. It was number 14. He goes, yeah, these people bought 1 through 16. And I went, oh, that's no good. Like, I'm not going to just volunteer to move. And then he goes, yeah, we're going to have to figure this out. I was like, yeah, I guess you are. And then he radioed in his boss. Don't know who that is. Don't really care. He said, yeah, you guys are going to have to move. And I went, okay, that's no problem. They paid for their seats. I'm not going to ask fans that spent money to go to this game to, no, they have to move. I'm not going on a power trip or anything like that. All I said was, okay, no problem. Where do you want us to go? That seems like a very logical question, don't you think? Where do you want the media members who somebody here drove 2 hours and 40 minutes to get there? Where would you like me to go? I just have to be plugged in. You guys said you would have a plug for me. They did. Everything was set up. Okay, no problem. They said, okay, let me radio to my boss again. Again, don't know who, don't really care. Yeah, they don't have a spot for you. You're just going to have to go find a new spot. That's my problem. I don't care that my seat, quote unquote, got sold. Don't care. Like, the fans bought it. It's their right to sit there. They spent money. I didn't. I just traveled there, whatever. But to consider yourself the next major league, this is game 9, the final home game in that environment. To have the setup that they did for the media members to begin with isn't next major league level. And maybe I'm never going to be invited back to Oshawa. I don't really care. I think this needs to be addressed and stated, because we talk about difficult subjects all the time. I trash the league all the time. I praise the league all the time. I say I'm cut and dry. Whatever needs to be said, I'll say it. I don't really care. If you want to be the next major league, that is not how you handle a situation like that. If you had a backup option of, okay, you can go stand here or sit here or whatever, that's fine. Like, I would not come on here. I would just make a joke about it, whatever. But to just say it's up to you, media member, to go find a spot around, set up wherever you want. I could have half jokingly said, okay, I'm just going to go set up on one of the away benches. You said wherever I wanted, right? Like, that to me just shows how much further this league and some of these teams have to go. That if you want to be considered a major league, like the next major league, and I am an independent podcaster here that covers the Buffalo Bandits, that is spending my own money and my own time to drive there to cover the game, to sell the seat in first place, whatever stuff happens, I understand that. That's not the part I'm frustrated about. I'm frustrated with the fact of, oh, kind of like, screw you, go find your own spot and deal with it. Like, there was guest services there that were fantastic. I explained the whole situation. I went, I don't really know this place. Like, all I need to be is plugged in and see the field. I can set up wherever and take my notes. Like, I thought I was being very accommodating for the situation they put me in. I went, all these spots here have numbers. Are these also sold? And she goes, yeah, those could be sold, but there's an outlet right there if you want to set up right there. If somebody bought those seats, we'll find another spot for you. I went, okay, thank you. And then by the time the end of the first quarter was gone, nobody came over and like, you're in my spot. I figured I was pretty good. So it just goes back to, and again, I'm on my soapbox, whatever. I'm not trying to go on this power trip. Oh, media's got to be a specific spot. I thought I was very accommodating and very calm, didn't raise my voice once. I'm just in the fact of, if you want to be treated like the next major league, be like the next major league. Like, it's these simple little things that we've gone on for 5 years now of things that could be fixed. I understand it's the first year in Oshawa, but it's also game 9. Like, how is the thing that shocks me most is your way of addressing the situation is good luck, Godspeed. That's pretty much all I was told. And it's not like anybody sent me an email after, like, say, sorry, that's us, whatever. But again, maybe I'm going to be banned from Oshawa. I don't really care. I just think this something that needed to be addressed because, again, if you want to be treated like the other major sports teams in this organization, and again, I understand we're spoiled in Buffalo. I get it. I've gone on record saying that we are completely spoiled in Buffalo, and nothing shines a bigger light on than the 3 other cities that I travel to. But come on, guys. Like, that's Bush League, and that's kind of pathetic that first, I'm not even like, have you heard me trash their setup once? No, I think it needs to be improved, sure. But it's just the way that they handled it is the way I have an issue with it. Because you're going to talk that way to Adam Schefter. You're going to, like, he comes in and, sorry, man, just go find another spot. Not comparing myself to Adam Schefter, but if you want to be treated like the next major league and you actually have media traveling to the game that wants to cover this game and spread it and grow the sport in the league, have a backup plan when you screw up. That's it. Like that's the only part I'm frustrated with. I'm not frustrated with having to move. I ended up in a better spot, a better location. That was fine with me. It's just the fact that they go, sorry, man. Good luck. First time in Oshawa, Godspeed. That's the problem I had an issue with. So just do better, league. Do better, Oshawa. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to harp on it anymore. Whatever. Made the trip there. Ended up in a better spot. Got my notes. Got everything covered. But man, was that a little wackadoo that we had to go through. But got through it. Got the notes. Whatever.
I feel like having the ushers say this isn't the first time. That's problem number one.
Yep.
So this has happened before, and you still don't have a solution for these situations. So it's not the first time it's happened. So what did you do last time, and why did we not learn from what happened when it happened the first time? Like you said, game 9, that's also an issue. This should have been figured out by now. And the other point you made, like, what if TSN was covering or ESPN sent somebody to cover because it's the last game?
What if this was the playoffs when more media coverage, like your local media comes and want to show up, like your newspaper, TV, or whatever? You're going to do the same thing?
It's going to tell them, oh, we don't have a spot for media. We sold that ticket. Good luck finding a different spot to cover. Like, they're like, okay, well, we're not coming back ever again. It's just, if it was the first game and everything, I think it'd be wildly different. Yep. But to have the usher say, this isn't the first time it's happened, have no solution. And again, it seems just, and like you said, it's not even just a Oshawa thing. It's a league thing in general, that these little areas slip through the cracks of the league that wants to be this next major league, wants to be big and professional. Like, then these small things need to be handled because they add up to big losses. And again, we're a small independent podcast. We're not the ones that are going to be an issue necessarily, but if, like you said, the local media comes or ESPN comes or somebody comes that actually wants to cover it and could expand the coverage of the NLL or reach a few extra 100 people with some good coverage, like, those are the ones you need to make sure are handled. And it doesn't seem like they would have been had they showed up. And this is, again, game 9. So just need things like this to be a bit better.
Yeah, I don't need anything. I don't want anything. Right. Whatever. Right. It's just I wanted to point it out to try to just, hey, you guys messed up. Have better solutions. Look, be better moving forward. Like, if people call us, people have called us out for being wrong before. We own up and we try to be better moving forward. That's all I'm trying to do here. Shine some light on a major issue that I think you have going on out there. Like, just goes back to game 9. You don't have a better setup and a better option B for when things go down, and your reasoning is good luck. Try it again for people that traveled that far. Good luck. Again, that's probably going to be the last time I address it. I don't really care. If they're back in Oshawa, I'm going to go through the whole thing again and request another spot. I might just put in there as a little parentheses, hey, Banditland travel's great. Your barn's going to be sold out. Can you make sure that I have a spot? And if I don't have a spot, what's the backup option? But again, whatever. It was a great time. That's why I started with the positive. I think the arena is going to be fantastic. I think the area is going to be fantastic when that team is good. And that team was pretty stinking good on Saturday because Bandits lost 12-8. Joey Rez with 3. Byrne with Smith 2. Or Byrne and Smith with 2. Bucky with 1. Vince 36 of 48 saves. Shots were 52-48 in favor of Buffalo. Faceoffs went Buffalo's way by 11. Buffalo 3 for 6 on the power play. Oshawa 4 for 6. Phil, it was 1-0 after 1. Oshawa's leading. They led 7-0 with 5:34 left in the second quarter. Ended up being 7-4 at half. 10-5 after 3. Bandits got to 10-7 with 8 to go. And that was about as close as they could get it. Just an absolute stinkfest from the team that was the hottest team in the NLL. And I'm not going to harp on their loss too much. I've actually this is one thing that I was mentioning on the last episode that I was a bit afraid of going into the playoffs with this team on an 8-game winning streak. I'll start this episode like this. I'm not going to harp on them too much. They just went on a 7-game winning streak. They're the number 5 seed going into the playoffs. All great considering where they were to start. Sometimes it's a good thing to get kicked in the mouth and sometimes physically punched in the mouth to figure it out, because this team did not look prepared or ready to play in this game. They just seemed, it felt like, and maybe this came across the TV as well, it felt like a team that felt like they could walk in there, just do whatever they wanted against that team and walk out victorious. And Osh was like, here's another idea. We're going to kick the living crap out of you all game long.
Yeah, Buffalo just did not seem interested in winning the game in the slightest. Everything that they harp on, everything that they talk about, I think Priolo's mentioned it. I forgot how many, what does he call it, the commandments they have or whatever it is within the locker room of things that they just do not allow. Buffalo's been one of the best penalty kills, and you allowed their power play to just demolish you. They've been really good against transition. That's one of the things, and the transition just demolished you. Vince has been really good. Vince let in a few squeakers. The offense has been really good recently. The offense looked disjointed and horrible. Like, they looked like a team that was scared to be injured, scared to cost anything major, and was already moving on to playoffs. Like, I know they talk so much about home field advantage, and Priolo mentioned that, like, the 7 games don't mean anything if you don't get that 8th one, don't get that home field. Well, they lost home field. They could have been all the way up, I believe, to second
Number
place.
2.
Yeah, all the way up to second.
Could be facing San Diego.
But it did look like a team that was just scared to be injured and scared to go to the dirty areas. Like, they were just shooting from far out. They looked horrible. Realistically, they looked horrible. They looked really, really bad. And I think mentally, because playoffs were clinched, they got a decent spot. I know home field means a lot to them, but I feel like they were just mentally on to playoffs. I think they'd already kind of skipped over to this game and were like, let's just worry about the next one. We don't care anymore. Playoffs are where it matters. And that's it. That's what showed to me on the field. Even though they had that 4-goal comeback, I was like, okay, like, this is when you can lock it down and be the team you were against Rochester and come back in this game and have a monster second half and just take it. They let it get right back out of hand and could not keep that momentum going. And then from there, a lot of fights, a lot of interesting things went down. But more than anything, they didn't look like they were interested in winning.
Yeah, that's how I came across. And I get it. They're professionals. They want to win. We're not saying that whatsoever. But that's the way it came across on the screen. Like, we're not in the locker room. I don't know what they have conversations about, but I'm sure as heck sure that they wanted to win this game to have home field advantage. But there's a difference between talking and showing it, and it didn't appear that way. Again, I think, can they win 5 straight games in the playoffs and win the whole stinking thing? 100%. Can they go through the road that they're going to have to go through now and win it? Sure. They're on the bracket side with Vancouver, so it's going to be tough, but they can instantly do it. But yeah, again, when you, like how you were just wrapped that up, when they got to 7-4 at the end of half, I was like, okay, feels like a team that's going to be able to pour it on in the second half and coast the rest of the way. And Oshawa scored the first 2 in the second half. And then the only goal that Buffalo scored in that third quarter was on the 7-minute power play. You scored 1 goal in 7 minutes on power play. And you allowed
league's
one.
Best power play.
Yeah, you allowed one on
Right.
shorthanded as well. But again, I'm not going to harp too much. We're just going to cover this game overall. But yeah, it felt like with that spurt, everything started passing. They started getting to the net. They started getting to Dougie Jamieson. And then I don't know what happened at halftime. It's just like that switch got turned back off. Like, they found the light switch. So the light came on. And then at halftime, they're like, okay, see you guys later. And they flipped the light off and they couldn't find it again. It felt like this was an Oshawa team that was ticked off. And we said it going into the game. This is an Oshawa team that's ticked off with the season, how they played. They wanted to go out with a bang at the end of the season in front of their fans to show them, okay, come back next year. We're going to be better. We're going to be stronger. And this is 2 teams that don't like each other. Like they've had big time games. We went over it. They were 4-4 in the last 3 years. And 2 of those losses were in the finals for Oshawa. Like, they were 4-2. Now they're 5-2 in the regular season versus Buffalo. I don't know what it is about Oshawa, but Oshawa gets under their skin every time. And we came on this, like, if we see it, And we're just two idiots behind a microphone. Don't you think the people that get paid to do this should say the same thing? Like, it felt like a team that wanted to go in there, just cakewalk through it. And when they got punched in the mouth, they weren't having a fun time. They were whining to the referees a lot. It got very chippy. And then they got frustrated because the goals weren't flowing. That's what it came across as on the TV. But we'll go over the offense here. I didn't know how important a guy like Clay Scanlon was to that left side. No shot at what Coltrane or Tyson is going to do in this league. Again, we said it after the first time. I think once he puts on more muscle, he can be a freak in this league. He's just not ready. And yeah, they only had 6 healthy forwards, so they had no real options. But man, the depth on that left side, if Scanlon or McKay go down, is terrifying through this playoffs. Like, we got what we wanted to see from Scanlon. He was questionable. I think if they needed him, he probably could have played with that questionable tag, but give him that week of rest. It's more important to get him back for playoffs. But man, the whole left side in the first half, 2, 2, and 4 on 10 shots for the game. 2, 3, and 5 on 20 shots. Like, McKay was held scoreless. He was chipping with Mike Byrne all night long. Like, I've never seen him get that frustrated and that just out of sorts. Like, Oshawa took him out of the game completely. Byrne couldn't really, mustered up 1 assist in the second half on 6 shots. Like, Tyson did nothing but allowed 2 turnovers. You look at the righties. I mean, 2, 3, and 5 in the first half. They finished with 6, 6, and 12. And, it's not good enough. Like, this is what is a little scary going into playoffs is when Josh and Byrne do what they got to do.
Dane and Josh.
Dane and Josh. They went 2, 3, and 5 and 2, 4, and 6. But beyond Joey Rez, you got really nothing from your depth. Like, McKay was held scoreless. Bucky had 1, 2, and 3. It's just the offense wasn't good enough. And if this was a one-off, it'd be fine. But we've seen this multiple times. Like, I'm doing all the notes and everything for the interview on Wednesday. Phil, 8 times this season, they've scored less than 10 goals. It's not just a one-time thing. Like, this offense can go dormant, and that's what's a little scary, especially in a one and done when you're going to be facing Georgia. Like, this offense just wasn't good except for a little spurt in the end of the second quarter there.
Yeah, I thought McKay looked really rough. He was missing shots very high, very wide. A lot of his streaking moves where he comes from the bench straight in, gets a good opportunity. Normally he buries those, and I know Jameson was having a good game, so then you're trying to pinpoint those shots a little bit closer, but he was missing the net all over the place, and I thought he just needed to be better in this game. I do think this is the kind of game, which again, I really don't know how much they were willing to go to the dirty areas with playoffs coming up, but this looked like a game where Nanticoke would have been needed to clear lanes more often, and they just weren't doing a lot to get to the middle. And I feel like a Scanlon, like you said already, and a Nanticoke added back to this offense would have made a big difference in the game like this. I'm not saying that they both get hat tricks and put up another 6 goals, but I think they cleared the lanes a lot more to allow the other players more room to do what they need to do. So I think this is the game that you felt their absence more than we have in that, like in the Rochester game. Nanticoke really wasn't missed too much, and Scanlon went down during that game. And when he was out, it wasn't as good, but it wasn't a huge deal. But I think this is the kind of game that you see that those two are very, very important. McKay's been a big talker, I feel like, in the second half of this season. You always see him jawing with at least one of the defenders. Last week against Rochester, it was him and Williams the whole game. I don't know the other players specifically, but I feel like he's always jawing with players. He's always throwing cross checks, getting hit, and I do feel like a big part of that is trying to cause penalties for the other team and get in their head. So I do like that aspect, but in this game, I think you're right. I think they got in his head a little bit, and Jameson did play really well. When Buffalo had a few good opportunities, he was there to shut them down. But again, I'm not going to say they got goalied because that's just an annoying thing to keep going back to. But I do think the offense just looked pretty rough from what I could see and what I was watching.
Yeah, 100% that no Scanlon, no Nanticoke definitely played a factor into this. But again, it's goes back to the fact that this is not the first time this season they've had to rely on Matt Vince and this defense so often, because the offense early on in the season was trying to figure out who they were without Chase and Chris. Now it was Now we don't have Scanlon or Nanakoke. Like, it felt like the offense was finally getting going, and now that they lost two pieces, they got punched in the mouth. Again, they weren't getting to the middle. Jug Jameson did have a phenomenal game. Like, I'm not going to say he didn't, but the offense also very early on was making it very easy for him to just pad those stats and those easy saves because every shot was just going straight into the chest or every shot was so far out. And I'll have issues with the transition game in a second here, but I think when you score what, four? What was it? Did they score four? Three.
Seven.
Three of their 8 goals on the power play.
Yep.
It wasn't good enough. Like,
And even that,
where do
you
I
had a
have the
7-minute
stats
power
here?
play and you got one. Like,
Yeah,
that's
they had
not
one
good
shot
enough.
clock violation, just one on offense. That's fantastic. That means you're getting shots on net. But no goals for the first 25-17 of the game. The first 5-on-5 goal came 27-10 into the game. They had that one goal on the 7-minute power play. No goals for the first 7:30 of the third quarter, and no goals, 5-on-5 goals, for 17:59 of the second quarter, or the second half. Zero depth scoring behind Joey Rez. They refused to get in inside, and it really felt like Oshawa was the team that was more hungry for the win and was playing for more than Buffalo was. So I don't really have much more on offense. It was a stink fest. Hopefully that's in their past and they look more like the team they had in the past 2, 3, 4 weeks. I guess not that far back because he had Saskatchewan and San Diego there, but hopefully look more towards like the team that was in Vancouver and Rochester than the team that we saw on Saturday night, because once you get those two guys back, maybe they look back to normal. But man, if you're losing two of your 5, 6 guys on offense, it shouldn't completely disrupt everything and look that bad. But it felt like everything went bad, and the defense did as well. I thought they had 4 shot clock violations. Remember, I'm keeping that stat, Steve Perillo. I got you. I think overall, I didn't think they were terrible, but Oshawa was just more hungry and getting to the dirtier areas. And this was a game where it felt like the defense kind of reverted back to what we saw earlier in the season, where they were allowing those goals on top of Matt Vince. Matt Vince wasn't on top of his game. Yeah, I like, from my vantage point, I couldn't. So when we go over those goals, you're going to have to tell me which ones you thought were on him and which ones weren't. But I don't think that he was on the top of his game. Like, this was an off game for Matt Vince that we hadn't seen in quite a few weeks. But I didn't think that the defense was awful. I think when you're comparing offense to defense, like, defense was so much better than the offense. But again, I didn't think that they were too bad in that end. Like, there were plenty of breakdowns and allowing guys to get into the middle. But overall, I didn't think it was as bad as it might have shown, if that makes sense.
Yeah, to me, it was spurts. It was...
Yes, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, they just... It was the opposite of going on a run for the offense. It was Albany going on a brief run, and then the defense would correct and shut it down for a long time. Then they'd go on a little bit of a run, and then they'd shut it down. It was just breakdowns in sections of the game. They would have like a 5-minute breakdown and then lock it down and be okay. And then another little bit of a breakdown and then lock it down and be okay. And those breakdowns ended up being a big deal because the offense wasn't doing much. So overall, grand scheme of things, I thought the defense looked pretty decent and at times looked really good, but they had those moments where they just couldn't seem to figure anything out, and Albany was able to capitalize very quickly on those moments and situations. But as a whole, I would say 80% of the time they played a pretty good game, 20% they were off, and then a little bit of Matt Vince mixed in there with power play goals, which the penalty kill also looked really not great, which is shocking given how they've been most of the season. So transition as well didn't look great. Like, just so many things that they've been so good at throughout the entire season were massive breakdowns in this game. And it just goes back to them not seeming like they wanted it, or just thought they were going to come in and find a team that had no interest in winning themselves, and they'd just be able to cruise to a victory and take home field advantage and go into the playoffs. And Oshawa was having none of that, and Buffalo just didn't have any kind of counterpunch, a consistent counterpunch to keep up with the energy that Oshawa was bringing. But Buffalo did not bring the same energy that Oshawa did.
Yeah, the one positive I do have, and I know there's controversy out there for me saying this, but I thought Thomas Whitty, and we mentioned it on the Friday show, he's in the lineup because of his
chirpiness
and his chippiness. And
yes.
were there things that he was doing after the play? Yes. Like he got Alex Simmons up high that caused that whole issue down low where, Matt Vince had to tackle Emerson Clark. Yeah, he got him up high.
That was a
Did
bad
he
one.
slash Emerson Clark's wrist in the first half? Yeah. But he is I like to frame it. He's the type of player that you absolutely hate to play against, but when he's on your team, you absolutely love him because he's able to draw those penalties. He's able to get under the guy's skin. Like Alex Simmons does the exact same stuff, except Alex Simmons is a superstar down there, so he's allowed to get away with some of that stuff. Whitty does the exact same kind of things. He doesn't get caught, and because of that, he draws a lot of power. He was responsible for drawing that 7-minute power play that they scored 1 goal on. He was the reason that Emerson Clark had that giant fit and was throwing all his equipment, which, he's not a real lacrosse player, so he doesn't really need. But what he does on the field doesn't translate to the stats. It translates to power play opportunities and getting under team skins and drawing penalties and annoying some of their best players. Like there's a reason he was going after Alex Simmons because he knows that's their best player. Like other teams go after Dane Smith and Josh Byrne because they're the best players. Like it's not a new thing across sports. You go after their top player and annoy him. The issue that I had was, and I guess we'll wait to do that. But the bad on defense here was I thought again, maybe people will look at his stats and go, oh, he had 8 loose balls and 2 caused turnovers. I didn't like Mitch Sisnew's game at all in this one. I thought he was way too rogue most of the game. There was one where I think it was the shorthanded goal where he was just running post or board to board looking for somebody to hit. And then when the guy got, I think it was Walker, he was giving it to Walker that entire shift. And Walker just does a big loop, Desnu just stops chasing him, and it's a big goal from the back end because he's too much of a wild card at times when things aren't going when things are not going their way. He is super sloppy. Like multiple times in the first half, his passing in the offensive zone was just, I don't know, brain fart after brain fart. He was running around like crazy, burning 15 seconds, and then just tosses it over. I thought Dawson in transition, Buffalo's finally doing something, and then he pulls up from 30 feet out and just throws it right at Jameson's chest. Weiss in transition. In the fourth quarter, they're making a comeback. In transition, pulls up from 30 feet out. Again, right in Jameson's chest. There were stupid decisions made that made this defense look worse than it was, like you said, with the spurts as well. But there was also stupid decisions in the transition game. There's stupid decisions where it seemed like players were being a bit too selfish out there by, I want to get this hit. I'm getting frustrated, so let's lay this guy into the boards and lose our defenseman here. I thought Mitch Sisnew was very bad. And then the last one, I'm sorry, but this is 2 weeks in a row. Dylan Robinson needs to be up in the press box. Like, he is taking penalties that are hurting this team. Get in the box. Keep your mouth shut. Like, that was a 4-minute penalty kill when you're already losing. It can't happen. Like, this is a team that is looking to do a historic run. This is a team that's put together for possibly and more than likely the last time. You're being selfish. Like, how many times did Johnny T said in that rush, we were taking too many penalties. We were being too whatever. It felt like this game reverted back to everything that we saw from weeks and weeks and months ago at this point. It's just right now, and correct me if I didn't see Dylan Robinson again that game after he committed another penalty. Like, I don't remember him leaving the bench after that point. I think he got benched, and I wouldn't be shocked. I shouldn't say I wouldn't be shocked. To me, I would put him in the press box the next game and put McCannell out there or leave Dooley in or whatever. But he needs to, like, chill out. It's insane. He's costing this team. He almost did it last year with the 5-minute major, and now it's transitioned late this season, and it's just stupid penalties. Like, it really is, and it's going to come back to haunt this team, and it kind of did in this one where they were trying to mount a comeback, and he does that stupid thing again.
Yeah, he had 7 straight games with no penalty minutes, and then these last 2, he's had 4 and 8, and the game before the 7 straight was when he went insane in Colorado and put up 9 penalty minutes in that one because it was a blowout, and he just loses his head and loses his cool. Like, if they're in the game, he seems okay, other than the Rochester one. But if it starts to get out of hand, that's when he just goes rogue and starts just, I don't know, just
the
loses
first one,
his
the
cool
dead ball foul, I get it. Like, the guy in the crease, I get that one.
Yes.
I'm good with that one.
Right.
It's the next few, like the slashing And then the illegal cross check, and then
And
the
then just
unsportsmanlike conduct.
right,
Like,
the talking
it's
to
the
the ref,
fourth
like
quarter. You're trying to come back, and you get a 4-minute power play. Like, I really don't think. Again, I'll go back and watch. Maybe when you're writing the article, you can keep track of this. I don't think he saw the field again the rest of the game after he came out of that penalty box. I really don't. I think he got benched, and it's rightfully so. If he did, kudos to Johnny T and that coaching staff. He rightfully deserves. He cost this team.
yeah, and I do think they need him in playoffs, so it's going to be hard to bench him, but they do have a lot of defensive depth, and they've played without him before. So if that's what it's going to take, or maybe it's a very quick hook that, if you do any
Maybe
of
he
this
sits
again,
the first quarter.
right. Like you're hurting your team by plain and simple. And if you have to sit a quarter in a playoff game, guess what? That's going to hurt your team too. So learn your lesson. Just be quiet and play like a team player. Like even it was the same thing with Dawson the other game where he was running his mouth. Like you're too much of a veteran. This team's been together too long to be doing things like that. I know Priolo said in his podcast that he might have actually caused that one on Dawson because he was running his mouth, but he wasn't called for it. And then Dawson ran his mouth right after. I think the ref was just fed up with it. But all of those things, like I know things get heated, but the goal is bigger, the mission's bigger. Like you just can't be having bad, dumb penalties, especially. Again, it just felt like a game that they just did not really care to win, and those antics kind of help prove that point even more. Like you said, like I think they were either down by 4, down by 3.
They were down 3. They had just scored. Dane Smith had just scored to make it 10-7. And then Dylan Robinson does that, and they scored twice on the power play to make it 7-12.
Right.
Like,
so
right there's the game.
Right
there.
And you just can't do it.
And again, I'm not putting this loss completely on Dylan Robinson.
Right.
Don't hear what I'm not saying. But you took a stupid penalty at the exact worst time. Like, cross-check, whatever, that stuff happens. Go to the bench and serve the 2 minutes and get the frick out of the bench. Like, it's just, like, the timing is impeccable for a team that's won 3 straight championships. That it's just...
And again, a lot of it
stupidity.
is Oshawa. For some reason,
I don't get it.
Just get so
like we said it on the Friday show. I don't understand what Oshawa does to them, but it happens almost every single time they face them. Every single time.
Yes.
But we'll go over the goals here again. If you have any, I know you said you got some on Mad Vince here, so I'm just going to run through them and let me know which ones you have on Mad Vince and which ones don't, because again, my vantage point was better than it would have been, but still not ideal. First one, Dawson Theed on the power play. Shot it felt like it got tipped and found a hole on Matt Vince. Makes it 1-0 Oshawa. The second one was Benny. Perillo gives him way too much room off the switch. I don't know what he was thinking. He was like playing a pass that nobody was there. He let Benny all the way in and it makes it 2-0.
That one, I thought because of the angle, Vince might have wanted it back because it was pretty. It wasn't a good angle for Benny. It was a great shot. It was a great placement. And Priolo definitely gave him way, way too much room just allowed him all the time in the world to find that shot. But I thought given the angle that Vince should have had that a little bit better, but he's also trying to play the pass and play other things, not just the shot. But I think that's more on Priolo than it was on Vince.
The third one, Kashchuk in transition, he picks off a Bucky shot like out of midair. It was beautiful. Desnu doesn't slide over and it beats Matt Vince on the transition goal there, 3-0. Fourth one, Simmons, Belter stays on Kurtz. Whitty doesn't get out on hands and the shot goes over him, makes it 4-0. The fifth one, Dawson Theed, step back and just fires around Dane Smith. This one was a bit weird. I don't know if you have this one on Matt Vince, but
I did.
He kind of shot it around Dane Smith. It didn't feel like it was bad defense. It felt like that one might be one.
I wrote in my notes that it wasn't an overly impressive shot.
Yeah, it was like he put a change up on it, actually. Yeah. It was a weird one. The sixth one, Kurtz, Dylan Robinson gives him the angle and it's diving through the crease, and that was the penalty afterwards to make it 6-0. That one's just, you can't allow him to get to the crease.
I had that one on Robinson.
Yeah, they've done such a good job of avoiding that. This was just it was a weird game where they just had multiple breakdowns. Seventh one, Kurtz on the power play. Weiss, he gets the edge sealed on him. Dawson, instead of moving out, again, he's been so good at this recently, and he reverted back. Like everybody reverted back to what they were. Instead of just going and attacking, he stood in one place and tries to block it, and he kind of screened Mad Vince to make it that 7-0 lead that started the game. Eighth one, Walker on the shorthanded. This is the one I was talking about, all on Mitch Desnu. He was going at him The entire shift, Phil. The entire shift.
I was
Walker just
watching him.
makes one big loop and loses them and just fires it home, makes it 8-4 when Buffalo was already trying to make that comeback, and
I
this
had
was in
that
the
one a
second
little bit
half.
on Vince as well. I just didn't think it was a great shot. I thought he could have saved it, but I had it more onto Snoo for all the reasons you just said.
Ninth one, again, this was a breakdown on defense. Clark right off the bench, right up the middle. Maybe it was on Dawson from my angle. It was tough to see the replays in the arena as well, but I think it might have been on Dawson who was waiting on somebody and doesn't see, Walker run right up the middle, makes it 9-4. 10th one, Theed just runs right by Weiss, like right by him, in on Vince all alone. Every time Dawson Theed gets so close to the goalie, I'm just like, I'm crapping my pants. Just like, avoid Matt Vince, avoid Matt Vince, avoid Matt Vince. And he did. That's off to him. He did. Makes 10-5. Dyson on the power play. PK was all out of sorts. Me too. They were looking for a call. Like, Priola wasn't even ready. He was turning around trying to figure out what either Matt Vince or the defenders behind him wanted, but they weren't set at all, which allows Dyson the quick stick, makes it 11-6. And then Johansson transitions. Smith's the only one back. He does all he can, but with that speed, it was phenomenal. 12-7, and that was the end of it. But yeah, it felt like you said, spurts, and a lot of this was reverting back to the defense that we saw earlier in the season, where most people were blaming Matt Vince on, and we were like, how can it be on Matt Vince? It felt like a weird revert back game. I'm hoping this is just a one-off based on what we had seen the previous 7 games where they were phenomenal.
Yeah, and I did have a lot of big saves by Vince as well, keeping them in it. A few of them were right after Oshawa goals. They would fly down and
they had that massive breakaway save early in the third to make it 7-4.
2-0 and stops it.
Yep.
Like he still looked good. Yes, there were some you want back, but again, it's annoying to keep saying the same stuff over and over for this breakdown, but they just looked like a team that, like you said, reverted back to everything they did before the 7-game winning streak. And even before that, when they thought they were starting to get on the right path, like everything from the offense to the defense to Vince, like all of it looked like they forgot everything that just happened on this win streak and like went all the way back to how they started the season, and it looked terrible.
Yeah, so the good, I thought the face-off win right at the end of the first half by Farrell was phenomenal. I didn't mind Farrell too much in this one. He had a couple bad screw-ups, but other than that, I think that was the big face-off win. Again, another one where they're on the power play, where the refs were confused on if it did go out of bounds. Another big win there, where they were able to pick up the loose ball there. And then another credit to Eric Vince, another good video work by challenging that goal that got canceled out. Like, I think Eric Vince doesn't get enough credit for the work he does behind the bench on when to challenge and when not to challenge, because they've been pretty stinking good this year. I don't know their exact number on the challenges they've won, but it's been a lot more than they lost this year, and that's credit to Eric Vince over there.
Yeah, I'd have to go. I do write it down in, I think, all of my articles, so I'll have to go back at some point and look at them
Gotta
all.
reread all your articles now.
Pretty much. I do think it's weird, and I get that it's just how the game is, and if they have conflicting calls, that is what it is. But I don't love that conflicting call automatic review nonsense that kind of happens sometimes. Like, I feel like if it's a conflicting call, which I think we've heard before, that it goes like if it's a conflicting call on the floor, they revert to the head, or the higher ref gets what the call actually is. And then so if there's not enough evidence, it goes to what he called. But I hate that it's not challengeable, or that you don't have to challenge it and they just go and automatically review it themselves. Like, if that's what they're deciding is kind of the way to break a 50-50 tie, then just make that what the call is on the field, and then make the teams make a decision from there and force them to use a challenge if they need to or whatever. I feel like we've seen it more often than I would like, that the refs just don't know what happened on a play, and instead of forcing a team to challenge, which in some instances it's so obvious, like the one in this one, I think it was the outside of the net one, where they didn't know what happened and they just went and reviewed it, and it was within seconds. They're like, yeah, outside of the net, wasn't a goal. Like, for the speed of the game, I like that aspect of it, and maybe way down the line we'll get the automatic ref just in the box and whatever, like they do with football, where they automatically overturn obvious calls. Like, yeah, it was on the outside of the net. But I don't love how often it's a conflicting call, and then it's not forcing a team to make that call, and they just kind of go and check it themselves.
See, this is where I'm actually going to disagree. So maybe mark this down on one of the times we disagree. I don't like that the ref's error would result in a team being forced to use one of their two challenges. I like that. I wish they didn't do it as often, where they would disagree, and then because I think half the time it was like, "Did you see it? No. Did you see it? No. Let's have disagreeing calls here, and then we'll go review it." I think there needs to be more help down the line for these refs because it is a quick game. I'm not blaming the refs for this situation, but I'm in the camp of I like this with the current setup it is now, so the coaches don't have to burn a challenge on a situation where the refs just didn't see it clear enough. That's
well, isn't
where I'm
that
at.
kind of what every challenge is the ref screwed it up?
Yes and no, but
Because
like
some of them are pretty
the
obvious.
conflicting ones here.
We've
Like,
seen, I know, but we've seen ones that are like really obvious challenges that the ref calls a goal and you are forced to challenge it just because the ref missed an obvious call. And it's kind of the same, just because it's not conflicting, but it's a play that I think you and I would be like, okay, well, you should have called it right on the floor. You obviously
right.
just missed it. And then you're forced to use a challenge because the ref screwed up and missed it. It's kind of, and again, it's not what every challenge is. There are plenty of challenges that it's extremely close. It's very hard for a ref to see. I'm not completely blaming the refs or trying to throw them under the bus, but there are plenty of ones that are very obvious. They're like, how did you possibly call that a goal or call that not a goal on the field? And you're forcing the team to use a challenge just because they flat out missed it.
Yeah, my only thing that I would like them to add when it's conflicting reports is say we got conflicting reports. The head official has blank.
Yes, that's what we're going off of.
Yes, that would be what I would like to add moving forward with that explanation. So,
and I would love down the line the very quick auto reviews if it's something super obvious, but I feel like we have a long ways to go. I was going to say, we got a long ways to go before we get to that kind of technology.
Penalties, they're kind of explanatory. I didn't really have any issues with any of them called. The Wires one, holding on the power play is insane. You have the man advantage on the back end, and you still let Alex Simmons. Like, Alex Simmons is a fantastic player. Like, we say it all the time. The other team has good players as well, but he was like triple teamed. You couldn't call for holding. That was another one that was like kick in the groin. Let's address the whole fighting situation first. The only thing I think I said this in the Discord channel. I think Buffalo, had they came to play and it was a competitive game, I don't think any of that stuff would have happened. I think their chippiness allowed Oshawa to be chippy back. And when Oshawa wanted to drop the gloves, Buffalo was like, we can't afford to get suspended here. So they refused to drop the gloves.
Yep.
Which I get the frustration for a lot of the fans that felt like, hey, Buffalo's just like turtling. I get that. I understand. I think to an extent, Oshawa kind of exposed that in Buffalo, knowing that, hey, we don't play next week. We can kind of do whatever we want here. And Buffalo was like, it was kind of a weird situation. Like, if Buffalo came to play and it was a competitive game, I don't think any of this stuff happens. Maybe a little bit, but I don't see it getting to the level that it did. I don't have an issue with pretty much any of the way they called it. I don't have an issue with Doug Jamieson running down the field. I don't have an issue with pretty much any of it. The only thing I have an issue with is Glenn Clark. And I've come at him multiple times saying, like, he either needs to be out as head coach or out as GM because it's back-to-back years where things have failed. Like, he's fallen on his face multiple times, and he's in charge of lineup decisions and the build of the team. He had a whole you-know-what fit after the Halifax game by saying this can't be in the league and blah, 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 blah. You can't say that and then have Emerson Clark in the game knowing that, sorry, this might be a shot at him. I'm not trying to be super mean to him, but you know why he's in the lineup. He's not there to play lacrosse. He's out there to catch passes and pass it along, and then when something blows off, he's in your face. I don't know how much of that is like he's done after the season and Oshawa is kind of his hometown and he wanted to get one more game, or how much of it was it's Buffalo. They've been the big bullies. We need him in the lineup here. Like, I don't like the fact that a few weeks ago or a couple months ago, he had that whole soapbox of Halifax can't do this. This is bad for the league, blah, 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 blah crap that he said in his press conference. But then your team does this. Like, your backup goalie's trying to fight our backup goalie. Like, I don't like that he's talking out both sides of his mouth. Like, be on a road and stick to it. Like, there's no merging here. You got to stay in your lane and do what you got to do and say what you got to say. That's the only issue I have with it. Oshawa, if I was Oshawa in that situation and I see Buffalo, who's been to 5 straight finals and won 3 straight, you're sure as hell bet that I'm going to be doing these antics as well. Buffalo should have known this was coming and not gone down 7-0 and then started being chippy and know that you can't fight back because you play next week. Like, to an extent, Buffalo was responsible for part of this, but did Oshawa expose that in Buffalo a bit? 100%. Like, I would have done the exact same thing. I probably have done the exact same thing in the past.
Yeah, I didn't like. Not that you want to tell them to give up after it was 7-0 by any means. Like, keep playing, but they, with a game next week that is way more important than this one, it just made no sense for Buffalo to do what they were doing and get all chippy. And I mean, what Whitty was able to do, and again, not exposing, not saying that he was absolved of everything. He was pulling plenty of antics himself, but to earn that 7-minute, that's what Buffalo should have been doing, because that's what they needed to get back in the game. Like, that was a monster opportunity for them to get 3 goals. And even at that point, I think had they gotten 3 goals, they were still down 9-7, which is not great. But getting your team a 7-minute power play when you're down, I think it was 9-4 at the time, like, that's what you're hoping to do by causing these antics. But the other...
I'm that same type of player. Annoy the hell out of them and turtle.
Right.
You get the advantage. Like, I don't care what you call me. My team just got a 7-minute power play. They scored 1 on it. But that's, I think what you said is a perfect example of that. Like, you drew the power play to get yourself back into it, because that wasn't at the end of the game. That was in third quarter.
Right.
Like,
plenty of time left to come back at that moment.
You were down 3 at that point. No, 5 at that point. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But still, a 7-minute power play, you can come back, especially with how good their power play is. You get 3 goals there. It's 9-7. All of a sudden, you're in the game. Everything after that and how it kind of ended, and like at the end of the game with Clark and
refs lost control. Refs lost control. There were how many players on the field? Like, I know Buffalo had players that left the bench to get involved. I know Oshawa had players that left the bench. Like, for that whole melee, and there were 3 people, I believe, that got called for penalties on that. It's insane. Like, let's look at this really quick. Yeah, with 15 seconds left, Chalk got a misconduct, McKay got a misconduct, and Jameson got a roughing. That's it. Like, that I understand. And to the refs' credit, I think they understood time and situation. And like, if I do this, Buffalo loses a guy next week. To an extent, I agree with that, but I don't think that they went far enough when the whole Emerson Clark thing happened in the fourth quarter with 3:19 to go. I think that's when they lost control of the game. And I don't try to come on here and badmouth the refs. Most times I am on their side. But it felt like the last 4 minutes of this game is when they lost control of it, and they didn't do enough in that whole melee there to tone it down. Like, they really didn't.
I know
it's that simple.
7 minutes worth of penalties, so it's not that they didn't do anything. But I don't know how Clark wasn't ejected the first time, when he was clearly punching Whitty in the face, and Whitty had his hands down, clearly did not want to fight, and he's throwing pretty big punches to a guy that's relatively defenseless with the ref right there. Like, I don't know what else you need to do to get a misconduct in that situation.
Especially when you know, like the score of the situation, Oshawa's out of it, Buffalo's not, and why he's in the lineup. Like, that's my biggest thing. He should have been. Again, I'm not attacking Emerson Clark, but you know why he's in the lineup, and it's not to play lacrosse.
Yes. And good on Vince for ripping him down.
Yeah, there was people that wanted Vince to be penalized for that.
Vince is saving
third man in. How is that like any different than when there's a scrum and there's another guy in? Like, Vince literally just bear hugged him and then they went down to the ground. How is that a penalty on Matt
Vince was saving people's lives is what he was doing.
Thomas Whitty wouldn't be here right now if he didn't step in. Like, Emerson Clark is the scariest. If he ever hears what I'm saying here, Emerson Clark, I love you. I will carry your groceries inside. Please don't hurt me. But like,
Whitty would have
Thomas Whitty's dead. Yes. Like, it's that simple.
He would have been done if Vince did not do what he did. Like, Vince was doing it simply to save his own teammate. He
didn't do anything when he landed on top of Emerson Clark either. He wasn't mushing his face, nothing.
Right. He held him down until he cooled off, and the refs could get in there and break up
that fight.
He
didn't cool off, though. He didn't cool off.
But
he was like, take my elbow pads. Take my gloves. I don't need them.
But he allowed the refs to get in there and save Whitty's face from being demolished. I have no problem with Jameson running down, whatever. Yeah. But for the end melee, like, this is on Buffalo again. Like, McKay I love
McKay
him,
started it.
but McKay, like, don't like why? Why are you baiting Doug Jameson to punch you in the face? Why are you baiting a line brawl? Like, you have playoffs coming up. You have something more important than this
Yep.
game. Like, walk away. There's no reason to like. What if he twisted an ankle as three guys jump him and beat him up or pin him down to the ground? Like, what if you just fall into the boards awkwardly, fall down awkwardly, and you're out for the rest of the playoffs
And
because
even on
you're
top of
just
that, like you started everybody coming off the benches, but like you
right,
probably didn't have that mindset. You thought it would be a one-on-one type of thing, but
right.
why are you putting yourself and your
Why are you
teammates in that
squaring up
position at all?
against Jameson?
Yes.
Like, what?
Yeah.
What
It's
are you
just
doing?
it reverts back to the stupidity that isn't needed. Like think of yourself like we raise this team to a certain bar when we talk about that men here. Why can't they do that themselves in that game?
Yes.
Like you got your butts kicked. You're going to the playoffs.
Right. It's
They're going
okay.
golfing.
Right.
Shut up. Go home. Like it's over.
Take your L and get ready. Like, yeah, I don't know. Didn't
They're
like
draft picking. You're going for 4 straight. I don't like it.
Yeah.
It reverted back to
100%.
like it almost felt like our little brother's actually kicking our butts. I almost swore there, and we can't stand for this. It almost felt like that. But
you
that's
can
pretty
stand
much,
for it because you've
yeah.
won 3 straight championships and they have none. Like,
You're above them. You're doing
right.
it. You're better.
You're doing what they
You don't have to prove it.
aspire to be.
Yeah.
Just
Well, that
anyway.
pretty much wraps this one up. I know you thought it was going to be a short episode, and we dove into that one big time. Some milestones that happened, not enough, and start of next year, man. It's going to be, I got to warm up the vocal cords before December. Cam Wires and Dylan Robinson both set career highs. Dylan Robinson in points, Cam Wires in caused turnovers. Steve Perillo is now tied with Mark Stainhouse in games played, second for the Buffalo Bandits. Stain Smith now has the 8th most points. He's up there pretty much by himself in all those categories for a single season. And Josh Byrne is in 9th with, actually, I think he's tied with Ryan Benesh for 9th in points. But, yeah, we'll fly through this week 21 real quick. The matchups are as follows. And NLL scheduled the same game at the same time. I hate you. Starts off Vancouver 1 seed versus 8 Halifax with their win over Ottawa. Friday 10 p.m. So East Coasters. This sucks. Number 2 seed Colorado hosts the number 7 seed San Diego Saturday at 9 p.m. At the same exact time, Saskatchewan hosts the number 6 seed Toronto at 9 p.m. And then Buffalo will be traveling to Georgia at 7:30 on Saturday. So you get 1 Friday game at 10 o'clock. You get 3 Saturday games with 2 of them at 9 p.m., both starting as Buffalo's still going on. NLL, I understand that the arena availability is a pain in the butt, especially on short notice. But holy crap, do you find a way to just, I don't know, stunt the growth of the league over and over and over and over again? It's just, how do you have 3 games, 2 are starting at the same time, and both of them starting when the first one is starting to end? It's just, the amount of times, the amount of views that you could have, and I think we said this to Adam Levy on Twitter the other day, to space out all the games. The first round of the NLL playoffs is some of the best sporting events in all of sports. Hands down. It's some of the best. One and done in the NLL where the 8th seed can knock out the 1 seed in one shot. Everybody needs to be watching it, and that's the best time to get fans to watch your sport. And you're doing a crap job of it by having 2 games at the exact same time, both starting as your second one of the weekend is ending. It's stupid. I understand arena availability and the short notice is a big part of it, but you shot yourself in the foot once again at all. And oh God, I'm going on a soapbox today, man. And I did Sabres, man, Sabres, yeah.
So you're feeling all the rage that Buffalo felt in that game.
Oh, if Sabres lose tonight, I'm not going to be a happy person Monday morning at work.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't. And it's tough for the fans, I guess. For the home team fans, I was going to say, like, maybe if Sunday was available, you just kick some of these to Sunday, so you space them out a little bit, or space them out at different times if Sunday was available in some of these arenas. But then, is it more challenging for fans to get there on a Sunday versus Saturday? But yeah, having 3 games virtually at the same time, and 2 of them quite literally at the same time. I mean, ESPN Plus split screen is
you could have done
great,
6, 8, and 10.
Right.
On Saturday.
Right. And at least some you could have watched a little bit all of them.
Yeah. Instead of going game by game, I'm just going to give all the scores here and then any bits and pieces you want to talk about really quick. San Diego on Friday night takes down Las Vegas to pretty much nearly send them home because there was no way Rochester was going to sweep Georgia. 14-12. Las Vegas once again does not make the playoffs. I guess 30 seconds. Do you see Sean Williams back next year in the same role as head coach slash GM? Do you see him back at all? Do you see him just in one role? Like, how do you see Sean Williams? Because I think that's the biggest story with Vegas right now because they weren't able to address the goalie situation.
And that's the thing. Like, are you going to fall back on we didn't have a goalie, so look what my offense can do? But if I get a goalie, then maybe we can see what this team can do. I know he's gotten a lot of chances, but
the issue is you're also responsible for getting that
correct.
Goalie. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's I guess to me it's got to be one or the other.
Yes.
And then at that point, it's a personal decision of which does he feel like he can handle better for the team moving forward? Does he think he's better as a GM? And I do think it's coach as well. So I think he's got to step away from GM, allow a new GM to come in, and hopefully one that can find him a goalie. And from there, the team had a lot of positives this season. We'll go over breakdowns in the future. But yeah, I do think head coach, yes. GM, no.
Georgia and Rochester. Georgia swept this one, and it wasn't even close. Georgia obviously is hosting Buffalo in the playoffs. That was one of the worst outcomes we were saying,
worst.
Especially when Patty G asked us that question a couple weeks ago. Georgia is still the worst matchup for me. I guess my question to you, because we'll be able to talk about Georgia next week, we'll focus on Rochester right here. Randy Mearns, Dan Carey. What are you doing there? Does the team need to get blown up? Is it a retool? I know OTCB talked about this one on their show last week, but I mean, 6-12 on a team that most people had making a deep run into the playoffs. Again, they're having issues on the back end and in net, but Randy Mearns comes in, wins one game with that organization. I know I'm not putting it completely on him, but they looked even worse when he took over. Like, what are you thinking there? Is it completely just clean sweep of the whole front office? Is it new coaching staff, allowing Dan Carey to do another thing under this new ownership group? What are you doing with the team? Like, I know that's a lot of questions thrown at you, but...
I think they got to blow it up. I think it's been too many times now we've seen this same group not be able to complete it, whether it's coaching, whether it's goaltending, whether it's offense, whether it's defense. The team has been relatively together for a little bit now, and every year they come in with massive expectations, and every year they seem to fall very short of those expectations. So to me, especially with the new ownership group, I feel like this was their test year of see what you can do. And if you guys can prove to us that you deserve to stay, we'll keep you. They already fired the head coach. I don't think Mearns is the answer. And to me, as the new owners, I would blow it up and there's still a ton of talent on that team. So I would say more of a retool than a rebuild because you still have plenty of talent, but you need to retool. And I do think the front office, head coach, everything, I feel like you need I feel like they just need a fresh slate of everything needs to be shifted out. I mean, it's very similar to how we felt about the Buffalo Bills, where high expectations, you're falling short of them. Get rid of the GM, get rid of the head coach. You need a whole new system. The Bills didn't do that, and we will see what happens there. But to me, that's where Rochester is. Same kind of situation.
Yeah, I don't see Dan Carey going anywhere, especially because he's president as well. But I will say, I think I agree with you. I think it's a retool, and I think they got to move one of their big pieces on the front end. Maybe it's I don't see it being a Ryan Smith. Ryan Lanchbury's doing fantastic, but now that you got Zed Williams there, that's not going anywhere. Maybe Lanchbury. Maybe it's a Thomas McConvey on the other side. Like I do think that they got to move something on your forward group. For as good as they are, you have to move something good to get something good. And they need help in net, and they need help on the back end. And I think the only way to do that is to repart that offense a tiny bit. Halifax versus Ottawa. Halifax climbs from the depths of nowhere. I was wrong on this one. I buried them weeks ago, and they were like, haha, watch us dig through this. And they did. My question to you, because we'll talk about Halifax next week. I'm trying to focus on the teams that are not doing it because we'll talk about them in the offseason. That's like a month away. Ottawa. Big question. Jeffy Teat. I know it's probably not his personality, but how much longer are you going to give this franchise before you're able to get the help to get in the playoffs? Like, I know he went 3 for 16 shooting, but holy crap, man. Like, that good of a player missing the playoffs again. they lost 5 straight games to miss the playoffs. It's insanity. Like, you changed your head coach, you changed your GM. This is another head coach slash GM that didn't make the playoffs. I know there's 2 maybe that made the playoffs. I'll count in a minute. But Phil, what does Jeff Teat do? Like, if you're Jeff Teat right now, what are you doing? Are you kicking down the GM's door saying, "Get me the heck out of here"?
I don't know if that is possible, but
It's Jeff Teat. He can do whatever the heck he wants.
that's true. You're likely causing a lot of havoc at the very least. Like I still feel like the supporting cast around him is not good enough to where they need to be. I would personally give the new look Ottawa one more season if I'm him, but I feel like you're starting to cause some chaos. I mean, they were able to get him Hellier to get him finally a piece on that other side to kind of complement him, but it's still not good enough. And missing playoffs again for a player of his level is just insane. And at some point, the poor man needs to make playoffs. So I feel like I'm giving it one more year. I feel like that would be what I would say if I'm him. This is my last year. Like, you guys get me to playoffs, do whatever you got to do. I don't care what it is. Give me the playoffs or I'm done. I feel like I would give them one last shot and say it just like that and see if they can figure it out. And if they can't, I'm out of there.
2.5 teams have GM slash head coach in the playoffs. Vancouver, San Diego, and then Saskatchewan, Derek Keenan. And then 3 were head coach slash GMs missed the playoffs in Ottawa, Vegas, and Oshawa. Just saying. Maybe split up those duties. Better, clearer thinking. Clear eyes, full hearts. Can't lose. Can't win. I don't know. I don't remember what it was. Colorado blows their chance of the number 1 seed. They fall to the number 2 seed and losing to Calgary. Calgary upsets them 9-8, looking really good. We got Vancouver taking down Philly. Philly goes out, possibly last game ever in Philly. And bold prediction, yay. Saskatchewan beats Toronto 1-0 in overtime. And I think that wraps up.
1-0, that'd be incredible.
You got anything else with those games? Because the majority of those teams are in playoffs besides Calgary and Philly, who Calgary's on the right track, and Philly, we don't know their future. So not really much to hammer home about those ones.
Yeah, Calgary looks amazing. They have an interesting...
Bowman? Like, what happened, man? Like, wow.
Yeah, I was going to say they have an interesting thing going on in net for them in a great way. They have 2 potential starters moving forward. Calgary looks like they are just on the way. I think I've been hammering that home pretty much all season. I feel like a lot of people have been talking about it as well, but they are going to be scary very quickly. On the flip side, Philly, who knows what they're doing. The Toronto Sask game, it's fun that they just had this big matchup and now they get to go right back to it. But that one was interesting for Buffalo because I was going back and forth on who I wanted to win, and then Sask was able to take it and ended up not mattering, I don't think, in the long run.
No, because Colorado lost, Buffalo would have...
That's what it was. That was the big upset that threw everything else off. But that was kind of an interesting game to keep an eye on. Toronto was taking it to them for most of the game. I mean, low scoring, but they had a good lead. And then Sask was able to march all the way back and finally get off their losing streak and win one at home. But that's going to be an interesting right back at it matchup.
Yeah, so that wraps up this one. We'll be able to talk, and I'm interviewing somebody on Wednesday that dives more into the actual matchups leading into the playoffs, but we'll go over Buffalo versus Georgia. It's going to be down in Georgia, 7:30 on Saturday. So, it'll be interesting to see how they handle the quote-unquote free home game. I don't know if that transfers to the next game because you know how as the playoffs go, the prices increase. I don't know if they base the cost on the first round or if they're going to reimburse you and then make you buy the ticket. I don't know how that first one's going to go. And they have to get by Georgia in the first place to be able to worry about that one. But for the first time in a very long time, Buffalo opens the playoffs on the road. We'll see if Buffalo can travel down to Georgia and get a win. They won 15-11 week 1, but that was when Georgia had like 6 rookies in the lineup. It's a very different Georgia team, and they just showed Rochester we can score the ball now. Very, very scary. But we'll go over more of that this week. The playoff coverage will not be going away. Even if Buffalo is, you know what, in the playoffs, we'll still be around covering the playoffs all through the playoffs. And we got interviews coming out to dissect all those matchups as well. But Sabres, 7-game series starts in like an hour. I got to edit this and get this out. But Sunday, then Tuesday. So we'll be able to talk about both those games on the next episode, which we'll record on Wednesday because they play on Thursday when we would normally be recording. So we'll have the Sunday, Tuesday game on the next show. We'll break down Buffalo versus Georgia and the other 3 matchups across the NLL. But on this rainy Sunday, Phil, as we get ready for the Sabres, go Sabres. If you lose, I'm going to be a very unhappy camper. But anything else with this one before we shut it down for a non-short episode, Phil? Yeah, you jinxed us.
I did. Bandits don't ever play like that again, and we can move on from that.
That is perfect. So we will thank everyone for listening to another episode of the Buffalo Sports Collective. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Buffalo Sports Collective, and on X and Blue Sky at Buffalo Sports Co. Visit our website at buffalosportscollective.com. Follow our channel wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure you leave us a review on Apple and Spotify. Oshawa, please let me back in next year, maybe if they're in Oshawa. Until next time.